The vast radio telescope array in New Mexico stood silent against the desert night, its massive dishes pointed toward a distant sector of the Andromeda galaxy. Dr. Sarah Chen sat in the control room, her dark eyes fixed on streams of data flowing across multiple monitors. 3 months of scanning the same sector had yielded nothing but cosmic background radiation and stellar noise. Yet something about the mathematical patterns had caught her attention, like a whisper just below the threshold of hearing. "You're still here." Dr. James Martinez appeared behind her, 2 cups of coffee in hand. He set one beside her keyboard, the steam rising in lazy spirals. "It's almost midnight. Look at this pattern." Sarah pointed to a seemingly random sequence of pulses. "It repeats every 73 hours, but with subtle variations. Too precise to be natural, too irregular to be a pulsar." James leaned closer, his forehead creasing. "Could be interference from a satellite. I've ruled out every known source." Sarah pulled up another screen showing a complex analysis. "Whatever this is, it's coming from exactly 2.537 million light-years away. And it's getting stronger." The coffee forgotten, James dropped into the chair beside her. Together, they watched as the signal gradually intensified, its pattern becoming clearer with each passing minute. Sarah's fingers flew across the keyboard, adjusting filters and running advanced analysis algorithms she'd developed specifically for this project. "My God," James whispered as the decoded data began forming coherent patterns. "Those are mathematical constants, pi-phi, the fine structure constant." "Not just constants," Sarah's voice trembled with excitement. "Look at the spacing between them. It's a cipher." She initiated her decryption program, a tool she'd originally designed to search for patterns in stellar radiation. The monitors flickered as the program processed the incoming data. The first decoded message appeared on the central screen. "To those who hear, the archive awakens." Before either scientist could speak, every electronic device in the control room surged with power. A holographic projection materialized in the center of the room, showing a 3-dimensional star map of the local galaxy cluster. A single point of light pulsed rhythmically, located in what appeared to be empty space between the spiral arms of the Milky Way. "Coordinates," Sarah breathed, already calculating the position. "It's only 30 light-years from Earth." The projection shifted, showing a massive structure floating in space, a perfect dodecahedron the size of a small moon, its surface covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and flow like liquid metal. Text scrolled across the bottom of the image. "The great archive of the precursors awaits humanity's arrival. You have found the key. You are ready for the truth." James grabbed his phone to call the director, but Sarah caught his arm. "Wait, there's more coming through." The hologram transformed again, showing scenes that made both scientists gasp. They saw vast fleets of starships, worlds being transformed, civilizations rising and falling. And through it all, Earth appeared again and again, observed from afar through different epochs of its history. "We were never alone," Sarah whispered. "They'd been watching us all along." The final message appeared with crystal clarity. "Humanity has reached the threshold. The trials begin in 1 solar year. Prepare yourselves, children of Earth. Your test approaches." As the hologram faded, Sarah and James sat in stunned silence. The coffee had gone cold, forgotten in the face of humanity's greatest discovery, and possibly its greatest challenge. Sarah turned to her colleague, her expression both excited and apprehensive. "James, do you realize what this means? Everything we thought we knew about human history, about our place in the universe. We need to call everyone," James said, already reaching for his phone again. "The director, the UN Space Council, everyone." "But Sarah," he paused, looking back at the coordinates still glowing on the screen. "Whatever these trials are, whatever this archive is, why us? Why now?" Sarah's mind raced through the implications, through the subtle patterns she'd observed in the signal. "Because we found it, James. Think about it. The signal wasn't just broadcasting. It was waiting for someone who could understand it, who could decode its patterns. We weren't chosen. We proved ourselves ready. As emergency alerts began flooding their phones and the first news helicopters appeared on the horizon, Sarah copied the signal data to a secure drive. Humanity had 1 year to prepare for whatever trials awaited them. 1 year to unravel the mysteries of the archive. 1 year to prove they deserved their place among the stars. And somewhere in the depths of space, the great dodecahedron pulsed with ancient power, waiting for humanity to claim its heritage or face its judgment. 1 year passed like a fever dream. Humanity united in preparation for the unknown trials, transforming the International Space Station into an advanced research hub. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at its newest observation deck, watching Earth rotate beneath her. The pristine white of the Antarctic ice caps contrasted sharply with the deep blue of the Pacific Ocean. Launch sequence initiated. The AI's calm voice echoed through the station. Quantum resonance drive, engaging in 5 minutes. The experimental drive was humanity's greatest achievement in the past year, reverse engineered from fragments of data hidden within the archive's signal. Sarah turned from the window to face the assembled team in the command center. Representatives from every major space agency stood ready at their stations, their faces illuminated by holographic displays. Multiple objects detected. Lieutenant Emma Rodriguez called from the sensor station, emerging from fold space at coordinates 220 Mark 45. The observation window automatically polarized as space itself seemed to ripple. 5 massive ships emerged, each one shaped like an elongated diamond, their surfaces shimmering with colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. They dwarfed the station, making humanity's greatest space achievement look like a child's toy in comparison. Incoming transmission, Emma reported, her voice steady despite the tension. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, using our own communication protocols. The main screen activated, revealing a being that defied easy description. Its form was vaguely humanoid, but its skin appeared to be made of living crystal, shifting colors playing beneath its surface. Multiple sets of eyes arranged in a symmetrical pattern studied them with ancient intelligence. "I am Archon Zaraven of the Galactic Concordat." The being spoke, its voice carrying harmonics that made the air itself vibrate. "We have observed your response to the archive's awakening with great interest. Few species deciphered the signal so quickly. Fewer still managed to derive practical applications from its data within a single orbital cycle." Sarah stepped forward. As the one who had first decoded the signal, she had been chosen as humanity's primary representative. "We welcome you, Archon Zaraven. We've prepared for this moment. Have you?" The Archon's colors shifted to deeper hues. "You've prepared for what you think this moment means. The reality is far more complex. The archive is not merely a repository of knowledge, it is a key. And now you must prove worthy of using it." Holographic displays materialized around the station, showing images that made the assembled humans gasp. They saw vast celestial engines moving stars, artificial worlds the size of solar systems, and technologies that bordered on magic. The precursors left more than knowledge, Zaraven continued. They left power. Power that could elevate a species to godhood, or destroy galaxies if misused. The trials are not merely tests. They are safeguards. "What exactly are these trials?" Sarah asked, her scientific mind already analyzing the display technologies. 3 challenges. 3 chances to prove your species' worth. The Archon's form seemed to crystallize further. The first trial tests your innovation. The second, your wisdom. The third, a pause heavy with meaning. The third tests your very nature as a species. And if we fail? Admiral Chen, Sarah's father, spoke from his position near the tactical displays. "Failure at any stage means quarantine. Your species will be confined to this solar system, prevented from developing further space travel capabilities. For the safety of all." Sarah felt the weight of billions of lives pressing down on her shoulders. "And if we succeed, then you join us as equals. More than equals, perhaps. The Archon's colors swirled in complex patterns. You have already demonstrated remarkable potential, but potential without control is a cosmic threat. Screens around the station began displaying technical specifications and coordinates. The first trial begins in 24 of your hours. You may select 3 representatives to face the challenge. Choose wisely, Dr. Chen. The future of humanity rests upon your choice. As the transmission ended, Sarah turned to face her fellow humans. The magnitude of what they faced settled over the room like a heavy blanket. They had one day to select 3 people who would determine humanity's fate. Dr. Chen, Emma called softly from her station. You should see this. She pulled up sensor readings from the alien ships. Their quantum signature. It matches patterns we've detected in ancient Earth artifacts. They've been watching us for millennia, testing us in small ways. Sarah studied the data, her mind racing. If they'd been testing humanity all along, then perhaps these trials weren't just about proving worth. Perhaps they were about something more, something even the Concordat might not fully understand. Admiral, she turned to her father, I need access to everything we've decoded from the archive. Every fragment, every pattern. If we're going to face these trials, we need to understand not just what they're testing, but why. As the station crew sprang into action, Sarah caught a glimpse of her reflection in the observation window. Behind her, Earth continued its eternal dance around the sun, unaware that its children's first steps into a larger universe would be their greatest test. The clock was ticking. Humanity had one day to prepare for a trial that would determine their cosmic fate. But Sarah Chen had already begun to suspect that the true challenge might not be what it appeared, and that humanity's greatest strength might lie not in passing the trials, but in understanding why they existed at all. The quantum transport deposited Sarah Chen, Emma Rodriguez, and Dr. Kai Patil onto a platform floating in what appeared to be empty space. Stars stretched endlessly in all directions, but something felt wrong about their arrangement. Sarah's scientific mind quickly realized the truth. They weren't looking at real space, but a perfect simulation. Welcome to the Forge. Archon Zaraven's voice resonated around them. Your first trial begins now. A massive structure materialized before them. A dying star contained within an enormous mechanical framework. Its surface roiled with plasma storms, its core fluctuating dangerously. This is a perfect replica of star HD 7249, the Archon explained. In exactly 40 minutes, it will go supernova. Your task is to prevent this without destroying the star's ability to sustain its 7 inhabited worlds. You have access to any materials you can conceptualize, but you must understand their properties to manifest them. The 3 humans exchanged glances. They had been chosen for their complementary skills. Sarah's expertise in quantum mechanics, Emma's engineering brilliance, and Kai's unparalleled understanding of stellar physics. Show us the star's core readings, Kai requested. Multiple holographic displays appeared, showing complex data streams. His eyes widened. The magnetic containment field is failing. The core's hydrogen-helium ratio is becoming unstable. Emma was already studying the mechanical framework. This containment system. It's similar to the designs we found in the archive, but more advanced. We could modify it using quantum field manipulation. No, Sarah said suddenly, her mind racing through the patterns she'd discovered in the archive's data. That's what they expect us to do. It's the obvious solution. But look at the star's quantum signature. She pulled up additional data streams, highlighting specific patterns. This star isn't just dying naturally. Its quantum state has been artificially destabilized. We're not supposed to contain it. We need to restore its natural quantum harmony. 35 minutes remaining, the Archon announced. Kai studied the data Sarah highlighted. She's right. The core's quantum state is oscillating at an artificial frequency. But how do we restore it? We'd need to manipulate quantum fields on a stellar scale. We already have the technology, Emma said, excitement building in her voice. The quantum resonance drive we developed. The principles are the same. just on a vastly larger scale. Sarah's fingers flew across the holographic interface, calling up the drive specifications. We can use the containment framework as an amplifier. Instead of trying to contain the star's power, we'll use it to boost our quantum field. They worked furiously, their minds melding in the way that only comes from perfect synchronization. Emma designed the modifications to the framework. Kai calculated the precise resonance frequencies needed, and Sarah wove it all together with her understanding of quantum mechanics. 10 minutes remaining. The star's surface was now writhing violently, huge prominences of plasma reaching out like grasping fingers. The modified framework hummed with power as they initiated their solution. "Something's wrong," Kai announced, checking the readings. "The quantum field isn't stabilizing. The resonance is off." Sarah stared at the data, her mind racing. Then she saw it, a pattern within a pattern, reminiscent of the original signal that had led them to the archive. "It's not about forcing stability," she breathed. "We're thinking like engineers when we should be thinking like musicians. Look at the quantum oscillations. They're not random. They're harmonic." Her fingers danced across the controls, adjusting their quantum field not to contain or control, but to harmonize. The star's violent oscillations began to smooth out, its quantum state shifting naturally back into balance. 1 minute remaining. "It's working," Emma confirmed, "but too slowly. We need more power." Sarah made a decision. She activated her neural interface with the system, something they'd been warned could be dangerous. "I can feel the harmonics." Like a symphony, her consciousness expanded, touching the star's quantum field directly. The star's surface began to calm, its core stabilizing as Sarah guided the quantum harmonics back to their natural state. As the timer reached 0, the last artificial oscillations faded away, leaving a healthy star pulsing with stable energy. "Trial complete," Arkshan Zaravan announced. There was an odd tone in the alien's harmonic voice. "Surprise, perhaps. You have succeeded, but through unexpected means. Most species attempt to force control through technology alone. You found the underlying harmony instead." As the simulation faded around them, Sarah turned to the Arkan. "The trial wasn't about saving the star, was it? It was about how we approached the problem." "Perception and understanding are rare qualities," the Arkan replied. "Rarer still is the wisdom to know when not to force a solution." The crystalline being's colors shifted thoughtfully. "Rest now. The second trial will begin in 12 hours. You may find it less straightforward than this one." Back on the station, as medical staff checked them over, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that they'd learned something crucial about the nature of the trials themselves. The Concordat wasn't just testing their technological capabilities, they were testing their understanding of the universe itself. And somewhere in the back of her mind, the quantum harmonies of the stars still sang, whispering secrets about the true nature of reality, and perhaps about the true purpose of the trials themselves. The 12 hours between trials passed in a blur of analysis and preparation. Sarah Chen stood in the archives data center aboard the station, surrounded by holographic displays showing their findings from the first trial. Something about the star's quantum harmonics nagged at her consciousness, a pattern that seemed familiar yet alien. "Dr. Chen." Emma Rodriguez entered the room, her usual confident stride betraying a slight limp from neural interface fatigue. "You need to see this." The lieutenant pulled up a new data stream. Readings taken from the Concordat ships during the first trial. "I've been analyzing their power signatures. There's something odd about their quantum fluctuations." Sarah studied the data, her tired mind suddenly sharpening. "These patterns, they're degrading, but that's impossible with their level of technology. Unless," Kai Patel spoke from the doorway, "their technology isn't working as well as it used to." Before they could discuss further, the station's AI announced, "Second trial commencing. Selected representatives, please report to the quantum transport chamber." This time, they materialized inside what appeared to be an ancient temple. Massive crystalline columns rose into darkness, their surfaces etched with flowing symbols that seemed to move when viewed directly. The air itself felt charged with potential. "Welcome to the Memory Vault," Archon Zaraven's voice echoed. "Your second trial tests not your technological prowess, but your understanding." The temple's center contained a suspended crystalline sphere, within which images and data streams swirled like cosmic soup. "This contains the complete history of a fallen civilization. You must determine why they failed, and how their fate might have been prevented." Sarah approached the sphere, her neural interface detecting complex quantum information structures. But as she began to access the data, something unexpected happened. Instead of seeing mere recordings, she found herself experiencing memories, living them as if they were her own. She saw a civilization at its height, masters of quantum engineering who had built wonders that dwarfed anything humanity had imagined. But beneath the surface of their achievements, she sensed a growing discord, a fundamental flaw in their understanding of the universe. "Sarah," Emma's voice pulled her partially back to reality. "Their quantum signature, it matches the degradation pattern in the Concordat ships." The realization hit Sarah like a physical blow. She dove deeper into the memories, now searching with purpose. The fallen civilization had discovered something profound about the nature of quantum reality, something that both the Archive and the Concordat were hiding. "They didn't fall," Sarah announced, her voice resonating with certainty. "They transcended. But in doing so, they discovered something that threatened the Concordat's power." The temple's atmosphere changed subtly. Archon Zaraven materialized before them, its crystalline form showing signs of strain. "You risk much by pursuing this line of investigation." "The trials aren't about proving our worth," Kai said, catching on to Sarah's discovery. "They're about finding a species capable of solving the Concordat's problem. Your quantum technology is failing, because it was never yours to begin with," Sarah continued. "You inherited it from the precursors, but you never fully understood it. That's why our solution to the star trial surprised you. We glimpsed the underlying principles that you've forgotten." The Archon's colors swirled in complex patterns of distress. "You understand nothing. The power of the precursors must be controlled, regulated." "No," Sarah interrupted, her mind filled with the memories of the fallen civilization. "The power of the precursors was never meant to be controlled. It was meant to be understood, to be harmonized with. The civilization in these memories didn't fall because they failed. They failed because they succeeded too well. They discovered what you've been hiding. The universe itself is conscious, and quantum technology isn't about control. It's about communication." The temple's walls began to vibrate with rising energy. Other Concordat members materialized around them, their forms showing varying degrees of degradation. "The third trial," Emma whispered. "It's not going to be what they claimed, is it?" "No," Sarah agreed. "The third trial was never about proving our worth to them. It's about choosing whether to accept their version of cosmic order or to follow the path of true understanding, wherever it leads." The Archon's form stabilized, its colors settling into a pattern they hadn't seen before. "Very few species reach this understanding," it admitted. "Fewer still reach it so quickly. You are correct. Our power fades. The quantum harmonics that sustain our civilization grow weaker with each passing millennium. We have maintained order in this galaxy for millions of years, but that order comes at a price. The price of suppressing the truth," Kai said, "of denying the living nature of the universe itself." "The third trial begins now," the Archon announced, but its voice carried a new tone, something almost like hope. "You have 12 hours to make your choice. Will you accept our authority and help us maintain the order we have built? Or will you risk everything to pursue a truth that could unmake the very foundations of galactic civilization?" As the temple faded around them, returning them to the station, Sarah looked at her companions. In 12 hours, they would have to make a decision that would affect not just humanity's future, but the future of all intelligent life in the galaxy. And somewhere in the quantum fields that permeated all of space, Sarah sensed something stirring. The universe itself, waiting to see what humanity would choose. In the final hours before humanity's choice, the International Space Station became a nexus of feverish activity. Sarah Chen sat in meditation, her neural interface allowing her to perceive the quantum fields that permeated space. The universe's subtle harmonies sang to her, no longer just data, but a living symphony. The world leaders have reached a consensus, Admiral Chen announced, entering the quantum lab where Sarah, Emma, and Kai had gathered. They're giving you full authority to make the final decision. The weight of our entire species, Emma said softly, and maybe all species. Kai looked up from his analysis of the Concordat's quantum degradation patterns. Based on these readings, their civilization has perhaps 1,000 years before total collapse. Their control over quantum technologies is failing at an accelerating rate. Sarah opened her eyes, the quantum harmonies still resonating in her consciousness. Because they're trying to impose order on something that was never meant to be ordered. They're fighting against the fundamental nature of reality itself. The station's sensors suddenly lit up with alerts. The Concordat's ships were moving, forming a perfect pentagonal pattern around the station. A new transmission came through, but not from Archons or Aven. A different crystalline being appeared on their screens, its form more ancient and degraded than any they'd seen. I am High Sovereign Ixphos of the Concordat's inner circle. Your time for choice has arrived. The beam's form shifted, displaying images of incredible technological achievements. Join us. Help us maintain the order we have preserved for millions of years. Your species will be elevated to the highest ranks of galactic civilization. Your worlds will know peace and prosperity beyond imagination. And if we choose another path? Sarah asked, though she already knew the answer. Then you will be contained. The knowledge you have gained will be suppressed. It is regrettable, but the stability of the galaxy must be preserved. Sarah stood, her decision crystallizing with the clarity of quantum resonance. You fear change because you've forgotten how to adapt. The precursors didn't leave the archive as a tool of control. They left it as a key to understanding. She activated the station's quantum resonance drive, but not for movement. Instead, she used it to amplify her perception of the quantum fields. The universe's song grew stronger, and she felt Emma and Kai joining their consciousness with hers through their neural interfaces. What are you doing? The High Sovereign demanded, its form flickering with concern. Showing you what you've forgotten, Sarah replied. Through their combined consciousness, they began to harmonize with the quantum fields in a way the Concordat had never achieved. The universe isn't a machine to be controlled. It's a symphony to be joined. The quantum fields around the station began to pulse with visible light. The Concordat ship's perfect formation wavered as their degrading quantum technologies responded to the new harmonics. Stop this, Ixphos commanded. You risk unleashing chaos throughout the galaxy. No, Sarah said firmly. We risk unleashing change. Evolution. Growth. The very things you've been suppressing for millions of years. Through their shared consciousness, Sarah, Emma, and Kai reached deeper into the quantum fields. They felt other minds joining them, humans from the station, then from Earth, all connected through the quantum resonance, and then something else. Ancient minds, vast and patient, stirring from long dormancy. The precursors had never left. They had merely been waiting, scattered throughout the quantum fields themselves, waiting for a species that could understand rather than control. Reality itself seemed to shift as humanity made its choice, not with words, but with action. The quantum resonance expanded, touching every corner of the galaxy. The Concordat ships began to glow as their quantum technology responded not to control, but to harmony. You don't understand what you're doing, Ixphos pleaded. We understand perfectly, Sarah responded. We choose evolution over stagnation, understanding over control, life over order. The quantum resonance reached a crescendo. Throughout the galaxy, suppressed technologies awakened, responding to the new harmonics. The Concordet's rigid order began to transform, not into chaos, but into a new kind of order, one born of understanding rather than control. Archon Zaraven appeared one final time, its form now stable, renewed by the harmonics. "You have chosen a difficult path," it said, but its voice carried not condemnation, but a hint of liberation. "The galaxy will change in ways we cannot predict." "That's what life does," Sarah replied. "It changes, it grows, it evolves." As the quantum resonance settled into a new pattern, Sarah felt the presence of the precursors more clearly. They had seeded the galaxy not with technology to be controlled, but with understanding to be discovered. Humanity hadn't just passed the trials, they had transcended them. The universe's symphony played on, but now with new voices joining the eternal chorus. Humanity had taken its first true steps into a larger universe, not as conquerors or subjects, but as participants in the greatest journey of all, the evolution of consciousness itself. And in the quantum fields that connected all things, the song of existence continued, forever changed by the species that chose to listen rather than command.